Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something you probably remember from school, English composition. But listen, we are not talking about dusty old textbooks or that red ink all over your papers. We're going to look at this as what it really is, a key that unlocks one of the most powerful, most practical skills you'll ever have. So, let's just get this out of the way. A lot of us think, okay, I passed that required writing class, I'm done. You know, that writing is really just for novelists or journalists. But what if I told you that's completely wrong? That being able to write well is kind of like a secret weapon in pretty much any job you can think of. Because honestly, that's what it is. It's a superpower. Good writing isn't just about commas and spelling. It's really about thinking clearly. It's about building an argument, explaining something complicated in a simple way, and really connecting with people. It all ties directly into how you think, how you get your ideas across, and ultimately, how successful you are. And that's the main idea we're diving into today. The skills you pick up in composition, they're not just for acing a test. They are the actual tools you need to achieve your goals, whether that's landing your dream job, leading a project, or just, convincing your boss of a great idea in an email. Okay, so how do we actually build this skill? Well, it's not some kind of magic trick. It's a process, and it's built on a foundation of 4 core goals. Let's break those down. What's so interesting here is the order of these steps. You'd think that to become a powerful writer, you start with, writing, right? But actually, it starts one step before that, by becoming an engaged reader. You've got to be able to take in information and really understand it before you can start to think critically about it, and then, finally, put your own ideas down on paper. Each step builds right on top of the last one. It's a solid system. So, once you have that foundation in place, you can start filling up your writer's toolbox. I want you to think about it this way. A carpenter doesn't just own a hammer, right? They've got different tools for different jobs. Well, it's the exact same for a writer. There are 3 essential tools, or modes of writing, that you can pull out for almost any situation. First up, we have narrative writing. This is your storytelling tool. We humans are just wired for stories. They hook us in, they make things memorable. Narrative writing is how you share a personal experience or paint a picture to pull your reader right into your world. Next in the toolbox is expository writing. Think of this as your explanation tool. Its whole job is just to inform. We're talking about things like reports, how-to guides, really anytime you need to break down a big idea and just present the facts straight up. And the third tool is persuasive writing. This is the one you pull out when you really want to make an argument and win your reader over. This is where you bring in the logic, the evidence, and build a case that guides your reader to see things your way. Now, it's one thing to define these tools, but it's seeing them in action where everything really starts to click. So let's look at a case study. It's an essay about a motorcycle crash to see how a really good writer uses all 3 of these tools together to build something that's incredibly powerful. So the writer doesn't kick things off with a bunch of stats or a big argument. Nope. They reach into their toolbox and pull out the narrative tool. They start with a story to grab our attention and make a personal connection right away. Look how good that is. In just 2 sentences, we're totally hooked. We know what this is about, we can almost feel the writer's experience, and now we really want to know what they figured out during all that time to think. That's the power of a good story. But a personal story by itself, that's not always enough to make a solid point. So the writer switches tools. They pull out their expository tool to back up that personal story with some cold, hard facts. This is such a smart move. The writer gives us a name for this thing, SMIDSy, and then drops a huge statistic on us. Suddenly, this isn't just about their accident anymore. It's a real, documented problem. The facts give the personal story a ton of credibility and weight. All right, so we've got the story and we've got the facts. Now the writer brings out that final tool to bring it all home. It's time to persuade us, to show us the conclusion they came to after all that time thinking. And there it is. A conclusion you probably weren't expecting, right? It's so powerful. The writer uses their story and the facts to build an argument not about blaming the car driver, but about taking personal responsibility. See, by weaving together the narrative, the facts, and the persuasion, the essay is just so much more impactful than if they'd only used one of those tools. And that ability to blend these different modes of writing together, that's the skill that really matters out in the real world, way beyond the classroom. Let's talk for a minute about why this is so important in your career. In the professional world, your writing is often the very first, and sometimes the only, impression you get to make. that cover letter, your resume, an email to a new client, your ability to communicate clearly and professionally can either open doors for you or it can slam them shut before you even get a chance to speak.
The difference is just, it's huge. Think about pitching a new project. You might start with a little story, a narrative, to explain the problem. Then you use expository writing to lay out the data, the budget, the timeline. And you finish with a persuasive argument for why your plan is the best one. That mix is what builds credibility. On the other hand, a message that's just a messy list of facts, or one that's way too casual, can make you look sloppy or even incompetent. It can actually damage your reputation. Knowing which tool to use and when to use it is absolutely everything.
So you see, English composition is not just some class you have to get through. It's really an apprenticeship in how to think, how to communicate, and how to persuade. It hands you a toolbox full of really powerful instruments. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with them?